Good afternoon, everybody. As always, it's indeed our greatest pleasure to welcome you to our monthly BizSmart webinar, where we are eager to educate our customers and entrepreneurs on what you can do to empower your businesses. In February, we focused on all things business strategy, how to create a roadmap for success. In March, we focused on entrepreneurship mindset by Dr. Job Mugire. Should you want to see this and other amazing webinars, visit our YouTube page, our Facebook page, and you'll get enlightened. In today's webinar, we'll be speaking on ERPs, commonly known as systems. You know them as systems, which will help us to grow and drive our businesses. Like the popular show known as Mythbusters, we'll be mystifying these common questions and misconceptions that go through the grapevine. You might be asking yourself, is having a system possible for businesses across different levels, or is it for the big blue chip companies or organizations? You might be asking yourselves, is having an ERP a popular business facade, or are running organizations effectively through these investments? So amass all the questions, post them on the chat, get your pen and notebook ready, and we'll unpack ERP systems. At this juncture, allow me to introduce our systems guru, who's the speaker of today, Mr. Patrick Mbatia. Mr. Patrick is a consultant with diverse experience management in various roles such as project manager, as a business analyst, as a process lead, having worked in different countries which include Kenya, South Africa, Uganda, Ghana, and Nigeria. His specialty is in business automation, especially in delivering client business requirements, translated into clear and structured documentation that ensures development of workable solutions that are measurable and beneficial to all users. He holds a bachelor's degree in agricultural biosystems from Moi University and certification in management and corporate governance. Elsewhere, he loves traveling, connecting with nature, and listening to music. Therefore, without much further ado, we welcome you, Patrick Mbatia. Let's demystify ERPs.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much. Quite an honor to be here and talking to your audience and on this very good topic, a very selected topic that is very important again, especially for the community that wants to do business and wants to do it effectively. It's a pleasure to meet all of you during this lunch hour, and I hope that through the presentation we'll have enough knowledge impacting happening, and that we'll receive your feedback so that we can possibly drive the conversation further and onwards. So since we don't have a lot of time, allow me just to go straight into the presentation for today so that we go and demystify this conversation. I didn't know that it was a mystery to some, but like Richard has mentioned, probably not everyone is very familiar with this topic or even aware that these systems probably have a different name once you go into the details of understanding what this is all about. So today we want to have just a small look or a top look into a business and what automation needs or what automation means for these kind of businesses to have a solution going for them. So allow me just to do a quick presentation through a PowerPoint, and it will just be guiding the conversation, and this material can be shared later. So today we'll just go through a quick situational analysis of different businesses and why they need one level of system or the other. Talk about the process of automating your business or your processes. We may just have a small demo just to put a look and feel into the conversation and talk about what automations options that you may have and particular offers that we may have post this event. So just quickly going through and talking about the need to automate. it is inevitable in today's world that every business needs to automate. Even the smallest of businesses, and just coming back to our local scenario here or landscape here in Kenya, any small business, whether small, large, or medium, you need to connect to your customers. And the most familiar connection is through the payment cycle. And M-Pesa today connects from the Mama Mboga. You can pay with a till number to Mama Mboga, and you can even pay to the largest organizations through this form of connections. Other forms of connections that you can relate with is you need to have a connection to your customers, a phone call or something, and you need to put all these conversations. Maybe you have to track them down. Some of us will use a notebook, others will use different systems, but it's inevitable for you to automate. And as a matter of fact, where organizations are going now, business is now even more social than before. You connect to your customers through WhatsApp, Facebook, and these tools previously were known for fun and social side of it. In fact, maybe 5 years ago, most organizations were still blocking maybe people from accessing WhatsApp and Facebook within their organizations because it was social. But today, that is where your customer is. So that is what you must connect to. And that is a conversation that we must think about. Where is your customer? Where is your stakeholder? How do you engage with them in a very productive manner? So let's go back to the small business situation, and you'll discover quickly that small businesses really have diverse needs. And they are growing very fast in terms of not just growing maybe in terms of revenue, but also trying to find the space where they operate. So they're very dynamic. Small businesses also have constraints like budgetary constraints, and you're talking of where do we put the shareholders' money, or where do you put the business owners' money? Do we put it in buying more capital, expenditure, or do we spend it on operational expenditure? So both of them may ultimately drive the sales or the revenue, but it's a question of when and how you do it. Small businesses operate in an environment where they do not have particularly complete information. So they operate sometimes shooting in the dark, hoping that you land on something, and you need sometimes to preserve learnings. You need to preserve or to have the information or the data that you're using in your market put in a structure. A small business owner pretends to do everything, probably not even pretend, but they actually are required to do everything. They are the HR manager, they are the delivery guy, they are the finance guy. And sometimes even as they keep onboarding people, the growth sometimes may not match the staffing. So you have people who are everywhere. And this also needs to be coordinated because you'll have a conversation today with one customer or one of your staff members, and you do not have the tracker to maintain this information. We talk of the need because businesses are buying out or they are doing acquisitions and all that, and they need to know, how do we bring value? How do we recognize the entities that we are merging or acquiring? These are also things that are there. Small businesses, again, and I'm speaking generally across the micro SMEs and also small and medium businesses, they all need a strategy and a roadmap. Whether it's defined on paper or on the business owner's mind, it is a strategy, and they have a roadmap on how they're going to achieve this. So these are the things that are going through, just some of them that are going through a business owner and that need to be put into context. So we come to the conversation of why any business, why they need to automate. And some of these are just top line reasons. Number one is efficiency. Everybody wants efficiency. When a customer makes an order that you deliver, maybe they're buying clothing or they're buying things that you're selling from your shop, or from your store, they need efficiency, that you tell them, I'm going to deliver within the same day, they want it within the same day. So these are some of the things that efficiency can be both to internal clientele, that when I request this from the stores, I get it within, in a timely manner. And when your customers and your suppliers also, they all need efficiency. Then we talk about the most critical resources within the business environment that need to be controlled and monitored. You think about cash management, and for any business, cash is king. So you need to have a way where you monitor that the critical resources of the business, such as cash, such as inventory, human resource, all those are properly used and they are not out of control. You can imagine where you don't know how much you're expecting to receive from your customers out there. You need to learn, how do I manage my data aging? How do I manage my creditor aging? You need to have that visibility, and you can forecast that I'm now going to buy more stock in 2 weeks' time because I expect my customers X and Y are going to pay in 1 week's time. This is in a small environment, it runs through your head. You probably have it on a notebook. You probably make a phone call. But once you have 10, 20, 30 customers that you're dealing with, now that's a problem. Then we talk about enhancing productivity. And sometimes you want to make sure that your resources are being used optimally, where you have maybe vehicles, you have motorbikes, or you have even personnel. You want to make sure that there's proper utilization of the time and also the skills and any other resources that may be available. So those are things that probably call out to a need for automation. We talk about the customer service experience. You don't want a broken customer. A broken customer is really something very hard to fix. And like we say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So it's always very important that you exceed your customer expectations. That is what makes them come back. That is what makes them refer you to another customer. So these are the things that you need to have, such that customers are not calling you and line busy all the time, or they do not have anyone to attend to their needs, their complaints and everything. You should seem to be on top. As we say, cash is king, but also customer is also, up there being the king because they hold the cash anyway. Then talk about business visibility. The last thing you want as a business owner or a business leader is you going to bed without knowing, where am I? You have to know, how far from the shores am I? You need to know. You can't just be sailing the ocean. So this is very important, to have visibility and reporting, to know up to today, I'm doing this way in terms of revenue, in terms of profitability, in terms of expenditure. Then all the other things can flow in terms of your ability to forecast cash flow, inventory, and the rest. So that is just some of the things that we can talk to, but you probably know better in terms of your business environment, what would be pushing you to need to have something to put your needs in order. So let's talk about the business automation process. So when you want to do an automation, and sometimes in business, sometimes it's driven by an urgent need. For example, I expect that by August, when KRA goes live on this tax invoice management system, there will be just noise from all over the country, people just discovering that now we need to do this. So sometimes you don't even have time to think through it. But all in all, you need to have a calm mind and you need to think through what you're going to automate. For example, first understand what is the need, what is the process. And sometimes businesses rush into automation before they see the end point. So understand what is the impact of the automation gaps or the lack of automation. What does it mean to your business? Will I make more money if I have a system? Will I give my customers better service if I have a system behind this? Will I manage my employees and other resources that I have if I have a system? Then you have to think through how much funding requirement will be required out of this setup, or for me to do this, how much funds do I need? And sometimes we call our suppliers, we call him and ask them, I need a system that does this, how much are you going to charge me? And I'll tell you maybe 1,000 shillings. But there's some other aspect that you don't see, which is your internal cost. For me to get this running, who do I need? And we've gone through situations where you deploy a system to a customer, but then they discover, wait, we actually need to employ 3-4 people so that they can manage the customer service desk. So you need to think through the entire landscape of the implementation. Will it require me to hire more people? Do I need to buy infrastructure, maybe servers or systems here and there? Do I need to take my people to a training session? What does it mean? So go through a budgeting process. Then you can now go through a vendor selection process, which is now getting the best vendor. And sometimes it doesn't have to always be competitive. It sometimes takes you benchmarking with somewhere where this system is working. And now you can say, if it's working for Springboard, I think it can work for me too. So it makes a sense for you to also compare where these kind of systems are working. Then now you go into the deployment, and during the deployment, you need to notice that you do not take the back seat and now watch the movie. No, in the deployment, you are right inside the deployment. You're the one defining how you want your system done. You're the one monitoring whether the funds are being utilized very well. And throughout the vision of the organization wanting to automate is realized. So what do you need to look out for when you're looking to automate? And here we're not just talking of an ERP, it's any system that you want to bring. What are the things that you need to look out for? Number one is process readiness. You need to know, how do I want things to move in my business or in my organization? How do I want things to go? We've had we've had maybe relative low success in terms of implementing systems. Most of the time is down to the user or the customer also not knowing what they want. So if you have the scoping right and you have everything behind it well, like the process readiness we're talking about, then you'll be ready to go into a system implementation. Is the data needed available? Any delays on the project sometimes cost money. So because you may be hosting a team that is doing the development, or there may be clauses that require you to pay if you are not ready. Do you have the funds available? So have you pictured everything, the infrastructure, the integration, and integration is an important one to understand. Do you understand the entire ecosystem? So when you implement a system, say for example, like an ERP, and on the other hand, you want it to integrate to the banks, are your banking partners ready to integrate to an ERP? Can this system integrate to your M-Pesa platform or the M-Pesa platform? All these. User readiness, and this is speaking to change management. If you have an organization that have different users, do they have the capacity or the skills to run in a system? You have situations where you have somebody who's very good, say in stock controlling, they monitor, no item gets lost. But the moment you introduce a system, they are lost because probably they do not understand how to operate. So there may be some bit of change management to be done. So let's talk about now what systems are implemented, or what these things we are calling ERP systems. An ERP system is basically what we call an enterprise resource planning. So your business enterprise has resources. And these resources, we named them. They may be cash, they may be inventory, they may be human capital, and other resources that you may have like assets and everything. And you need to plan them out so that they are all productive optimally. So that is what you call an ERP. The other solutions that are called CRM systems, customer relationship management systems, or client relationship management systems. And these also speak to systems that may be in your ecosystem. Sometimes you may get one system that has both, or sometimes they are separate. So in an ERP system, you may have core modules of finance, supply chain, and human resource. So in a financial sector, you have, I mean, not sector, but in the modules for financials, you have what you call the general ledger with the chart of accounts. You manage your payables, payments to your suppliers. You manage receivables as you're getting them from your customers. You need to manage your bank just to make sure you're tracking what money is coming in and out. That is cash and bank. There is a financial reporting, there is a fixed assets modules. And as you advance in other systems, you get other additional modules like budgeting. You'll have things like credit control and all those things. For supply chain, this is basically procurement or purchasing. And in addition to supply chain, sometimes we may consider both sides of the supply chain, the upstream and the downstream, or even sometimes the midstream. So the upstream is where you are procuring your raw materials or procuring items that you use within your organization. The midstream is where you're running, say, production. Maybe, for example, you're a dairy processor. You need to have a dairy manufacturing or a production control module. So that is what we call a midstream module. Then on the downstream, you need now to manage the customers, because that is where you manage the customers. And you may have a reverse cycle where there are things that you pick from your customers back to your warehouse, basically. So inventory and stock management becomes very critical in the supply chain. Other things like human resource is managing your employee records, payroll, performance management, leave administration, employee self-service for different functions and things like that. In a CRM environment, it's basically managing your customer conversations. If you have worked, say, for example, or dealt with a bank, you send them a request that, hey, can I suspect this is not right, and they will send you a ticket to say that we are following up on your issue, and we expect that maybe we are going to resolve it in 2 days, so that they have a view of all the customer issues. Sales as well is also another one. You may want to manage all the customers, especially if you're dealing with service sector. You need to have a CRM that manages your leads and your opportunities, and to also monitor the customer journey, right from the day you contact them to the day they become an account that is dealing with the organization. And also the field service, in case you're in a sector where you need to run about delivering or fixing things. So that's basically what you call an ERP and CRM in terms of functional areas. Let's talk about what ERPs that you may need as a business. What ERPs are out there in the market, and these are largely classified sometimes in 4 tiers, sometimes in 5 tiers, sometimes in 3 tiers. But let me just go for the traditional categorization, which is 3 tiers. So there's a tier 3, which is a small business, maybe up to 20 users or 20 employees to be specific. And here we look at your maybe your total revenue in a year, maybe something that we look at. We also look at the scope of needs, because you may have a small business with very few employees, but is also generating a lot of revenue. So plus also maybe the operations are also complex in nature. So all these things we have to review and make a decision which is the best ERP for you. So for most micro SMEs, they go for the common ones that we know, QuickBooks, Tally, and others that are there in the market. These are things that you can plug in and start using the next day, and quickly they just manage the top level functionalities of recording sales, recording purchases, and doing some bit of your P&L or profit and loss and things like that. Then you go into the next level, where you have a slightly bigger organization, maybe 20 employees to 50 employees, with your turnover, they're about $2 million or say 200 million Kenya shillings, thereabout. Now you need maybe a bigger ERP because your operations and maybe customer needs are also different. So here you now go to a solution that suits that that area. And here we have like what is commonly known in the market as Navision. That is now called Business Central. You have SAP SBD. Then you have NetSuite, you have Sage, you have Odoo, we have Info. There's also a whole bunch of solutions that are there. You go into the next category of systems, which is a tier 1 now. These are now for what you'd call enterprise level clients. And these are maybe based on different number of users from 500 to sometimes you have organizations with 10,000 employees or above with huge revenue kind of generation. And revenue, again, is not the key thing, remember, because you may have an organization with just 20 employees, but generating a lot of volume in terms of revenue. What we look at mostly is the nature of your requirements or scope of your requirements, the things that you need onboarded. So here we have different systems like Dynamics, Finance and Operations. You hear of SAP, Oracle Fusion and others, Sage X3 and others. So those are just some of the solutions that you may get and addressing different needs and just highlighting some of those that you may get. I think I spoke to some of these solutions. At this juncture, I want to quickly just switch and show you maybe just a preview of a system that you could call a system, but we call it an ERP. This is Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. So this is the Business Central that was previously called Navision, or now is available on a platform we call Business Central, and this is on cloud. So Business Central would help you basically to manage the normal, and that is what we are calling a system that can address the SMB, then scale up to the different areas that you want. So on a basic level, you can manage your finance, you can manage your cash, you can manage your sales and purchasing. That sounds very basic because a small organization doesn't have a lot of things to do. And a small organization doesn't want complications in terms of systems. They just need a system that is probably web-based. They can access it from anywhere because maybe you as the business do not even have a physical premise. You are mobile, you're selling from your truck. So today you're in Mombasa, I need to sell. I need to generate an invoice. I need to generate a purchase order, or I need to create a purchase order or post a sales order. All those things will be happening in the back of your car while you're on the move. So these kind of solutions now enable because they are web-based and they are, online and they are cloud-based. So I can start with one employee or one user. Then as a business grows, you keep adding them. So these are just some of the things, some insights about your business to tell you where do you need to collect, which payments do you need to make, just some quick highlights, we call them tiles, that can help you to understand. So this is the look and feel of an ERP or a system, if you may, as you may want it. And this now come with all manners of convenience because I may be accessing this on mobile phone as well. So I may want to capture a picture, say of a document, like an invoice that I need to pay, just snap it with your phone and we can have background processes that convert that picture into an invoice in the system. And all the other way around. These systems come now integrated to some customers who tell you, send it to my inbox, send the invoice to, or the quotation to my inbox. So you basically work from the system and connect to your customers and all that. Self-service, if you have people who need to access the system and do different things. So those are some of the functions that you can run on this kind of ERP. When you extend and go bigger, maybe then you go into additional modules. Now you can see suddenly you have more features. For the same modules, maybe finance and what. Additionally, you can even now extend the system and now have even human resources, manufacturing, project management, And that's the order that customers want. They want something that they can expand with. So I don't want to maybe focus too much on this today. So allow me just to quickly shift back and conclude my presentation. But before I move there, let me just mention that you may also need a CRM. So a CRM system, just for you understanding, this helps you manage whether it's a sales cycle. So you can see here, you can manage your sales, your leads, and opportunities that you're pursuing, and understand, are they hot, their probability of converting, just to bring them together. Same thing as the customer service. You want to make sure that you can maybe access and see if you are dealing in a situation where you need to know customer complaints or customer issues, you can interact with your customers. That is what we call a CRM system. And additionally, you can also deploy what we call a Power BI system that can do the analytics and reporting for you. You can tell where we are in terms of sales this week, last week, and all that. So, and maybe just create a heat map for you. Where are your sales coming from? So switching back quickly to my presentation. So how do you move forward now that you know that you have different business problems, and depending on budget availability, you may choose just to create what we call bespoke applications. This where you have a mobile app maybe developed for you to generate sales and to do various functions, or maybe a portal, website, or a portal, as you may want to call it, to do those kind of functions. You may also contact established vendors to do this for you in terms of working with systems that are known, like we're talking of Microsoft, QuickBooks, Sage, working with those kind of solutions. You may also just go for a low-level kind of automation, just as a solution that maybe connects from WhatsApp. Customers can tell you, I need this, and you now can move it to a page where you can list all your needs. So we are looking at different spaces of needs. And maybe you could also be working in an environment where systems are already there. All you need to do is to optimize them by integrating them. So you have a system that is doing some manufacturing, another one is doing some bit of orders, and all you need to do is to integrate all these systems. So these are options that are available for businesses to run with. From today's presentation, and as I'm concluding, we are available and we want to work together with Springboard to address your needs, and Impacts is offering to come and hear you out and listen to you and create a roadmap for you in terms of automation. So we are willing to come and do a free diagnostic to our customer or Springboard customers or the audience from today, and we understand what best suits your needs. We'll make an advisory, so we are not there just to sell for what we are doing, but also from whatever systems you're using, we can make some basic advisory that will guide you into how you can move forward. At the same time, Springboard, our partners, are very happy to work with you to create a model for project financing. Because sometimes we understand that your cash may be committed in things that you want to focus on, so that you as a customer get to think of the things that matter. You want to think of your inventory and what, but we can come and create a model where the project is financed in terms of create a package for you where you can get the systems that you desire while making the cash flow demand very lean and easy for you. So that's what we want to talk about today, and that comes to the end of my presentation. I didn't say quite much what Impacts does, but just in a quick way of introducing this. Impacts, we've been around the market for 18 years now. We've been breathing IT solutions. So we eat, sleep, drink, and do everything IT solutions. We provide different systems that you may need, from the ones that I just spoke about, the Dynamics ERP and CRM systems, and other systems that you may need. Even asset management, in terms of knowing where your assets are, is an important one. And we've been doing this for the last 18 years. Today we have a team of about 80 doing, systems and solutions across Africa. And we are happy that our hub here in Nairobi is now a very good source of knowledge to the other countries so that we can push this value across the continent and elsewhere. So we are happy to have this conversation with you. And if you indeed want to contact us, here are the contacts. And as I return this back to Richard, maybe if there are any questions we can take, I'm happy to do that. Richard, back to you.
Thank you so much, Patrick. That was very educational. I think we all know how systems work, ERP systems work, and we'll be coming for you for more consultations. And also from Springboard, we are very eager to finance your projects. As you've seen, we are partnering with Impacts to offer project financing. So make sure to reach out to us. If you have any questions, please, as I go to close, post them on the chat. So for now, I want to thank you. I've learned a lot. For me, I'll take away is that for the customers, there's efficiency where you reach out to your customers. If there's a customer experience from the different channels that you get for social media, for inquiries, we always have one way to reach out to them, and we control all the conversations through an ERP systems, which will be easier instead of going to different platforms. We have also talked about control of resources, which is very nice. You have cash that comes in and M-Pesa that comes in, so you'll be able to manage all the resources, inventory, and so much more through a system, an ERP system. So allow me to go to the questions they're streaming in. So from first questions we got today was to do with, from Alice Ambok. Does CRM and ERP apply to small businesses?
Yes, does ERP and CRM apply to small businesses? Yes, they actually do, because what these kind of solutions do, sometimes they remove the need for you to keep having somebody to manage. Say, for example, looking at collections or looking at a process like managing sales. Sometimes you may be the primary business owner, but rather than keep hiring people to do different things, you may automate so that everybody records what they are doing, and you can centrally see all of this to the extent where you can manage still as the business owner. So it is important, if we go back to what these systems do, it is still important that a small business automates. And remember what you were discussing earlier, that like, for example, what would be the landscape come August in Kenya, when every business must be running a tax, generate an invoice that is recognized by KRA and all that. You may not need an ERP, but you need a system. And quickly you discover that, oh, I have a system that is doing my invoicing, I'm compliant with government, but I also need now to also start accounting for what I'm also paying for, because you're also receiving invoices that are KRA recognized or Teams compliant. So the need will soon become general for everyone, that you probably, very likely for you to succeed, need a system. Our responsibility on this other side is to make sure that we have solutions that are cost efficient for you at that level. So that is what we work with, to create solutions that are cost effective and manageable for you at that stage.
Thank you so much, Patrick. As you've as well shared about the tires, I think you've shown that if you're starting off, you can start off with QuickBooks as such and grow it. As you grow the company, with the level of employees who are there in the company, you will as well go to the different tires, because this is an investment, and in the investments, you'll be able to get return on your investment from the system. So thank you so much. We go to the next question on from Emmanuel Rurega. How long does it take to implement the implementation of the system?
Another good question there. So systems implementation are based on scope, much like how you're building, you're doing a construction for a house. If you need a basic one, then the time is also short. You may just have a system that is plug and play. So it's possible that you may have a system that is running for say a startup within 1 week to 2 weeks for a startup. Or if you have everything ready, And sometimes we have done implementations which have spanned maybe 2 years based on the scope and the nature of work that needs to be done. So it varies depending on the scope of work in terms of the functionalities that you need to automate, and also your internal environment as a client. Do you have the readiness to uptake these systems? Like I mentioned, you design a system that you want to run production, but you do not have people who may be doing the clerical work of putting in the data about the production planning in the system. So sometimes you have to pause and hire, make sure that you have the right skilling and all that. But systems implementations in an ideal environment would take anything from 2 weeks all the way up to 6 months. So depending on various categories, maybe the tier 3, 1 month, tier 2, 3 months, tier 1, 6 months, 8 months, like that.
Thank you so much, Patrick. You have that idea now about how long it takes. So we go to Paul's Otieno. Thank you for the presentation. He said it's very insightful. And we had a question from him as well about how integratable are CRM and HR modules of financial ERPs like QuickBooks.
So the reality of the matter is that these are all different vendors. You'll find that QuickBooks may also have their own CRM system and ERP system. So where the environment is the same or the platform is the same, you're running on QuickBooks, ERP or small business suite, and you're running the same CRM system, it becomes very easy because the structure or the thinking behind the two systems is similar. Sometimes it gets a bit complicated when now you need to run between two systems that are different because you need two different skill sets. You need somebody who is experienced or knowledgeable on how to connect to the old one, I mean the ERP, and maybe how to connect to the CRM. You may need two people in that scenario. But having said that, most systems nowadays have what we call connectors. So we have people who know that that is a gap. So they build a connector. If I am running Dynamics ERP and using Sugar CRM, somebody has built a connector such that the transactions on your Sugar CRM will land into your Business Central ERP. So integration is doable. In today's world, there's no limitation in terms of integration, really.
Thank you, Patrick. I've seen that integration on financial ERPs is very crucial and it is integratable. I have a question individually. I've seen other platforms. Are these Microsoft Dynamics still viable to give different countries? You can move it from one country to another. If you have so you want to open a branch in Uganda or Tanzania, can this happen?
Yes, this happen. These systems are multi-currency, multi-legal entity and all that. Perhaps what you need to have in the back of your mind is if you have an entity in some of these markets where they may be blacklisted, and it happens that most of the ERP providers, you know, the guys who built the systems, Microsoft, SAP, and all the others, happens most of them are based in the US, so in the Americas. And at times you may find a scenario where a country has an embargo, trade embargo with the US government. So you may find there may be no, that country, you're not able to deploy that system. So, but it's much more that like the exception than the norm. But you'll have one system that you can provision for your branches in all countries. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Patrick, for getting to give us that clarification. We can go into different countries with multi-currencies and expand our markets and become multinational. So the sky is the limit for any small business. So as we want to thank you so much, Patrick, as we end for this informative discussion and for presenting about ERP systems. Do you mind that we share this presentation to our viewers?
Certainly not. I'm happy that you inform your customers so you can share this presentation.
Thank you so much, Patrick. To share, we'll be sharing a link on our chat shortly. Make sure to send your full names and the link, the link will be sent there, or the document will be sent to your WhatsApp So make sure to send your full names on that link. It's not a group, it's a broadcast. So you you get all the presentation there. So as we end now, I would like to talk about Springboard. Springboard, we are a lending institution. We lend to all manner of needs, finance needs, and we are, most importantly, which include business capital. If you also want to do project financing for this ERP system, we can do that. Import duty financing, buying assets, and so much more. So you ask why Springboard Capital? We are very customer friendly. We also structure our solutions to cater for your needs. And we give you flexible repayment periods, and we are here to empower you to achieve your dreams. Without taking much more time, we have filled up with such an awesome lunch hour plate. And we want to thank you so much, Patrick. It's now time to say goodbye. So see you next time. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.